So now that we have everything we need to start building our curves along that shell back UV mesh to construct that back panel, I think I want to take a quick step back, pun definitely intended. I want to go ahead and add a few more procedural operations to that saddle panel. And so I'm just going to go ahead and hide that mesh for now. I'm going to zoom in on this. And as you can see, our model here, our procedural operations, creates a polygonal mesh. And you can see it's fairly faceted around the edges. And I really want that to be smooth. So I'm going to convert this to a subdivision surface. And rather than wait and do it when we actually freeze out the mesh into polygons, I'd rather do it as a mesh operation. That way, if I make any changes on it, it will still freeze out nice and smooth. So I'm going to go ahead and add operator, and I'm just going to be going to type in here set, and go right here where it says set polygon type. Give it a second. And right now it's set to faces, and I'm going to change that to Catmull Clark's and give it a second to update. And as you can see right there, it smoothed out all those open edges. So it's a nicely smooth model, especially right there in those tight corners. All right. The other thing I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and thicken this. And to do that, there's a couple of ways we can do that. We can actually add a thicken operator, but the problem with that is there's not really enough controls that I need to control my edges. If I did it this way, I would have to go in and do an edge bevel to get tighter edges on this. But instead, I can go ahead and just use a bevel, polygon bevel that is, and click that right there, and now I'm ready to go. I'm going to, however, add an extra segment here. You can add 2 or 3 segments along the edges, and that will keep those corners tight. And so I'm just going to grab that little blue arrow and pull it out and just kind of eyeball it there a little bit, and there you go. Now, I'm making it a little bit thicker than I really would probably go with it, but the reason that is because you can see we set our UV transform to float slightly above the surface. So if you look real close here, this thing is floating above, and my bevel is pushing outward. So that panel is actually kind of still floating out there. So what do? I'll just go over to the UV transform here, and I will just set that to maybe negative 750 microns. So I'll just put a negative in front of that, hit return, and voila. Now it sits nicely within the surface parameters there. And if I want, I can actually just play with this a little bit, maybe 700, if that gives me a little bit. Yeah, that pulls out a little bit more. And yeah, so it looks nice. Now, if I want that edge a little bit sharper, I can go into the polygon bevel, and I can just add one more segment there, and there we go. Okay, I think I'm where I need to be with this, and let's move on to building the back panel.